The alien fleet moved through the darkness of space, confident and full of pride. Their ships, sleek and advanced, shimmered under the distant stars. The commanders on the alien ships laughed as they looked at their screens, showing the human ships ahead. To them, the human fleet was nothing but old and weak vessels. They had been mocking the humans for weeks, sending out messages that ridiculed their outdated technology. "Look at those pathetic ships," one alien commander sneered, leaning back in his chair. "This will be easier than we thought." The other officers on the bridge chuckled. They had crushed many other species in the galaxy, and humans, to them, were just another weak race that was no match for their superior firepower. As they drew closer to the human fleet, the aliens prepared to fire. Their weapon systems hummed with energy, ready to unleash a devastating strike. The alien leader sent out a final mocking transmission to the humans. "You should have stayed in your little corner of the galaxy," the alien leader said coldly. "Now you will be erased." But there was no response from the humans. The human ships floated silently in space like they were waiting for something. The alien fleet didn't care. They were too confident. They saw nothing in the human ships that worried them. Suddenly, a human ship moved forward. It wasn't fast, but it moved with purpose. The aliens barely noticed at first. To them, this was a weak attempt at resistance. But the next moment, everything changed. A single bright beam of light shot from the human ship. It wasn't just any weapon. The energy beam was unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. It moved faster than their systems could track, and before they could react, the beam hit one of their ships directly. There was a blinding flash and then silence. The alien commanders stared at their screens in disbelief. One of their ships, a large destroyer, had been completely vaporized. It was gone. Not damaged, not disabled. Completely gone, with no trace left behind. "What? What just happened?" One alien officer stammered, his eyes wide with fear. The alien leader leaned forward, his confidence fading. "It must have been a mistake," he said, though his voice wavered. "Fire back! Destroy that ship now!" But before they could fire, another human ship moved forward, this one firing 2 beams of energy. Both beams hit their targets. 2 more alien ships exploded into nothingness, leaving the alien fleet in chaos. The alien bridge was now filled with shouting and panic. No one had expected this. The humans, who they thought were weak and helpless, were fighting back with technology that shouldn't exist. The aliens scrambled to understand what was happening, but it was too late. The human ships, now moving in formation, began launching attack after attack. Beams of energy cut through the alien ships like they were made of paper. The aliens tried to fire back, but their weapons couldn't even reach the human fleet. Every attempt to retaliate failed as their systems struggled to catch up to the speed of the human attacks. The alien leader watched in horror as his once mighty fleet was torn apart. He had never seen anything like this. The humans had hidden their true power, and now it was being unleashed. His arrogance had blinded him, and now his fleet was paying the price. "Pull back! Retreat!" he shouted, but deep down he knew it was already too late. The human ships were relentless, and the alien fleet was crumbling faster than he could give orders. The battle had only just begun, but already the aliens were learning a painful lesson. They had underestimated the humans, and now they were paying for it. The alien fleet was in complete chaos. Their once proud and mighty ships were now nothing more than debris floating in space. Explosions erupted everywhere, and their sleek vessels, which they thought were unstoppable, were being destroyed one after another. The human fleet had done the impossible, caught the aliens off guard and struck them down without mercy. But the battle was far from over. As the alien commanders struggled to regain control, something else appeared on their screens. At first, it was just a faint blip, but it grew larger and larger until the full image became clear. A new ship had arrived. A human ship, but it was unlike anything they had ever seen before. The alien leader squinted at his screen. "What is that?" he asked, his voice shaky. He had seen many warships in his time, but this one was different. It was massive, easily 3 times the size of any human ship they had encountered so far. Its sleek black hull seemed to absorb the light around it, and it moved with a terrifying grace. The alien officers stared at the ship in disbelief. "It's a dreadnought," one of them whispered. This was humanity's hidden weapon. For years, they had kept it secret, hidden away in the darkest parts of space. Now it had arrived to deliver the final blow. The alien fleet tried to react, but they were too slow. The human dreadnought fired a single shot, a massive bright beam of energy that tore through the alien ships like they were made of paper. One after another, the alien vessels exploded, vanishing in clouds of fire and debris. "Impossible!" the alien leader shouted, slamming his fist on the control panel. "That's not possible! Humans can't have a ship like that." But the evidence was right in front of him. The human dreadnought was unstoppable. It moved methodically like a predator playing with its prey. Every time it fired, another alien ship was destroyed, and the alien fleet was shrinking by the second. The aliens fired back, desperate to stop the human assault. But their weapons had no effect. Their energy blasts bounced off the human ship's shields like they were nothing more than sparks. The dreadnought continued its path of destruction, tearing through the alien fleet with ease. Inside the alien command center, panic was spreading. The alien leader knew that his fleet was finished. He had underestimated the humans, and now they were paying the price. His once mighty fleet was being reduced to rubble by a single human ship. "We need more ships! Reinforcements!" he shouted, his voice trembling. But deep down, he knew it was too late. The human dreadnought was unlike anything they had ever faced. It was a weapon of pure destruction, and there was no stopping it. As the human ship continued its assault, the alien commanders could only watch in horror. Their once unbreakable fleet was falling apart before their eyes. The dreadnought moved closer and closer, and soon it would be within striking distance of the alien command ship. The alien leader clenched his fists, his heart pounding. "This can't be happening," he muttered to himself. But it was happening, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. The humans had kept their greatest weapon hidden until the right moment, and now that it had been unleashed, the alien fleet was powerless against it. The dreadnought was a symbol of humanity's strength, a reminder that they were not to be underestimated. As the alien leader watched his fleet crumble, he realized the truth. The humans had been ready for this fight all along. They had been preparing in secret, building weapons that no one else in the galaxy could match. And now they were using those weapons to take back what was theirs. The alien fleet was being annihilated, and it was all because of one ship. Humanity's hidden weapon had arrived, and there would be no mercy for the aliens who had mocked them. The alien high command was in total disarray. Inside their grand command center, deep within their capital planet, chaos erupted. What was once a room filled with calm, calculated decisions was now a storm of fear, confusion, and desperation. Screens flashed with images of their mighty fleet being torn apart by human ships, and one image haunted them all, the massive human dreadnought, cutting through their forces like a knife through butter. Supreme Leader Krask stood in the center of the room, his claws digging into the metal table in front of him. His eyes, wide with shock, darted from one screen to the next. "How is this possible?" he roared, his voice shaking the entire chamber. "Humans cannot have this kind of power. They are supposed to be primitive." His top commanders stood around him, frozen with fear. They had never seen the Supreme Leader like this before. For years, they had all believed that the humans were weak, an easy target for their empire's expanding power. But now those beliefs were shattered. One of the commanders, a young and nervous officer named Grath, swallowed hard before speaking up. "Our intelligence must have been wrong," he stammered. "We never detected a ship of this size or strength." Krask turned sharply, his eyes burning with anger. "You never detected it because you were too busy laughing at the humans," he shouted. "This is your failure!" Grath winced but said nothing. He knew the Supreme Leader was right. They had all been too arrogant, too sure of their victory before the fight had even begun. And now, the entire fleet was paying for it. A loud alarm suddenly blared through the command center, drawing everyone's attention back to the screens. "What now?" Krask growled, his heart racing. An officer at the control panel spoke up, his voice trembling. "The human dreadnought. It's advancing on the command ship, sir. We've lost nearly all of our defenses." The room fell silent. The command ship was their last hope, the heart of their fleet. If it was destroyed, the battle would be over and the humans would win. Krask's mind raced, searching for a way out, but every solution he thought of seemed hopeless. The human ship was too strong, too fast, and they had nothing that could stop it. "We need reinforcements," one of the commanders shouted, breaking the silence. "We can call in ships from other sectors." Krask shook his head. "There's no time. By the time they arrive, the humans will have already destroyed us. Another commander, an older and more experienced one, stepped forward. His voice was calm, but his eyes were filled with dread. "We should surrender, Supreme Leader. There's no other way." Krask's eyes widened in disbelief. "Surrender?" he spat. "You would have us kneel before these humans?" The older commander nodded grimly. "If we don't, there will be nothing left of our fleet. At least if we surrender, we may survive." The room went quiet again. Krask's pride burned in his chest. Surrendering to the humans felt unthinkable. But as he looked back at the screens, watching ship after ship explode, he knew the commander was right. They were out of options. The humans had outplayed them at every turn. Just as Krask was about to speak, a voice crackled over the communication channel. It was from one of the last surviving ships in the fleet. "Supreme Leader, we are being overrun. The human dreadnought is approaching fast. We don't have much time." Krask's claws tightened around the table, his knuckles turning white. He hated the thought of surrender, but he hated the thought of total annihilation even more. "Open a channel to the human fleet," Krask finally said, his voice barely above a whisper. The room stood still, waiting for his next words. "We will discuss terms of surrender." As the transmission was prepared, Krask stared at the screen showing the human dreadnought, his heart filled with bitterness and regret. They had underestimated the humans, and now they were paying the ultimate price. Supreme Leader Krask's heart raced as the communication channel opened. The alien high command stood in silence, waiting for the humans to respond. The air was thick with tension. On the screen, the image of the massive human dreadnought loomed closer. It seemed unstoppable, a dark shadow of death moving through space. A voice finally crackled over the speakers. It was calm, almost too calm, considering the chaos surrounding them. "This is Commander Lee of the United Earth Fleet. Supreme Leader Krask, we know you're listening." Krask clenched his fists, his pride still stinging, but he knew he had no choice. "I am here," he replied, his voice low and bitter. There was a brief pause before Commander Lee spoke again. "Your fleet is defeated. You have no chance of winning this fight. The destruction you've witnessed is only a fraction of what we're capable of." Krask's eyes narrowed. He hated every word, but he couldn't deny the truth. The human ships, especially the dreadnought, had proven themselves far more powerful than anything the alien empire had ever encountered. "I'm willing to discuss terms," Krask said through gritted teeth. "We can avoid further loss of life if we come to an agreement." Commander Lee's voice remained cold. "Terms? After what you've done? You attacked us first, mocked us, tried to destroy us. And now you want to negotiate?" The Supreme Leader felt a surge of anger but forced himself to stay calm. "We can still work something out. You've proven your strength. But we are not without resources. This war does not have to continue." There was another long pause. The High Command could feel the weight of what was coming next. Finally, Commander Lee's voice returned, this time with a harder edge. "We will not negotiate. Your empire made a choice when it declared war on humanity. We will offer you only one thing, a final warning." Krask's blood ran cold. The High Command exchanged nervous glances. "A warning?" Krask repeated, unsure if he had heard correctly. "Yes," Commander Lee replied. "Withdraw your remaining ships and return to your territory. Never approach Earth or any human colonies again. If you do, we will not stop with your fleet. We will come for your homeworlds, your cities, and your people. We will finish what you started." The words hit Krask like a hammer. The human commander wasn't just offering terms of surrender, he was delivering a threat, a promise of total annihilation if they dared to challenge humanity again. The Supreme Leader's mind raced. Could they afford to retreat? Could they really abandon their ambitions of conquering Earth? His pride screamed for him to refuse, to fight until the last ship, but his survival instinct told him otherwise. Krask spoke slowly, his voice heavy with the weight of his decision. "If we agree to this warning and retreat, will you allow our remaining forces to leave unharmed?" For a moment, the only sound in the command center was the hum of the machinery. Then Commander Lee replied, "Withdraw immediately, and we will not fire on your retreating ships. But understand this, Krask, this is your last chance. If you ever come near our territory again, we will not show mercy." Krask's claws dug into the table as he considered the situation. He was cornered. They all were. With no fleet left to protect them and the human dreadnought ready to strike, they had no real choice. "We will retreat," Krask finally said, his voice barely a whisper. The words tasted bitter in his mouth, but there was no other way. "Then get out of our space," Commander Lee said sharply. "And remember, this is your only warning." The transmission cut off, and the command center fell into a heavy silence. Krask slumped in his chair, staring at the screens as the human dreadnought hovered in the distance, waiting. As the alien high command began ordering their remaining ships to retreat, Krask knew one thing for certain. The humans were no longer a species to be underestimated. The alien fleet began its slow retreat. Ships that once boasted of unstoppable power now limped away, their hulls battered and their pride shattered. Supreme Leader Krask sat in his command chair, watching as his empire's grand fleet fell apart. What was once a symbol of their dominance had been crushed in a single battle by the humans. But something was wrong. A blaring alarm echoed through the command center, cutting through the silence. "Supreme Leader!" an officer shouted. "The human dreadnought. It's moving toward us." Krask's heart sank. "What?" "We agreed to retreat. We followed their warning." The officer's hands shook as he tapped the controls, trying to make sense of what was happening. They're charging weapons, sir. They're not letting us go." Krask shot up from his chair, his eyes wide with fear. "Impossible! Contact them now!" Another officer opened the communication channel, but the only response they received was silence. On the main screen, the massive human dreadnought grew closer. Its dark form loomed over the retreating fleet, its weapons glowing with a deadly light. "They're preparing to fire!" someone yelled. The high command was thrown into chaos. Officers scrambled to issue orders, but it was too late. Krask could only watch, frozen in disbelief, as the human dreadnought unleashed a barrage of energy beams. They ripped through space, tearing apart the alien ships with terrifying precision. Explosions erupted across the battlefield. The retreating fleet didn't stand a chance. Ship after ship disintegrated in fiery blasts, their shields and armor useless against the power of the human weapons. "No!" Krask screamed, slamming his fists on the table. "They said they would let us go. They gave us their word." But the humans were silent. There was no negotiation, no mercy, only destruction. In a matter of minutes, the once great alien fleet was reduced to burning wreckage. Krask's command ship, the last surviving vessel, shook violently as debris from nearby ships collided with it. His crew frantically tried to stabilize the ship, but the dreadnought was now locked on them. "Supreme Leader, the human ship is targeting us!" an officer cried out. Krask's mind raced. He had never felt so powerless in his life. The humans had completely destroyed everything he had worked for, everything his empire had built. And now they were coming for him. "We have to escape," Krask muttered. But even as he said it, he knew there was nowhere to run. Suddenly, the screen flickered and Commander Lee's cold face appeared once again. His voice was as calm as ever. "You had your chance, Krask. Humanity offered you a way out, and you failed to take it." Krask's rage boiled over. "You lied! We were retreating as you demanded." Commander Lee's eyes were cold and unyielding. "You brought this upon yourself. Your empire has caused too much harm, and now it ends here." Krask's voice cracked as he yelled into the screen. "We surrendered! You can't just wipe us out!" But the human commander remained unmoved. "This is not revenge. This is justice." Before Krask could respond, the screen went dark, and the human dreadnought fired its final shot. A massive beam of energy shot through space, directly hitting the alien command ship. The force of the blast was overwhelming. The ship's hull shattered like glass, and everything went black. The alien empire's fleet, once feared across the galaxy, had been annihilated. The wreckage of their ships drifted silently in space, a graveyard of twisted metal and debris. Humanity had made its stand, and they had emerged victorious. Their warning now burned into the memory of the surviving alien races. For the alien high command, there was no escape, no mercy, only total annihilation.